Hello and welcome everyone to our lovely session for this evening from GEG Virtual, where we are going to be discussing all things Google Sheets. And I am Rachel Pearson. I am one of the admins of our GEG Virtual group, and I am happy to be here with you this evening. I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves.
All right, Marianne, would you like to go first?
It doesn't matter. Sure. I'm Marianne Quintana. I am a mod for the GEG virtual group and excited to help show y'all some things on Google Sheets.
Hi, I'm Joseph, and I think this is the third or fourth time we've been together. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you. And we're looking forward to talking about Google Sheets. And on a scale of 1 to 10, first, hey, welcome to all of you. Drop a comment where you're from. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I've never heard of Sheets, all the way up to number 10 being I love Sheets. Sheets are the answer for everything. Drop us how you feel about Google Sheets, because we're going to try and answer some of your questions and get you guys ready for your certification exams. All right. If you have questions, the Q&A, both Mary and Rachel and I will be helping to kind of go through the comment sections. Make sure that you give StreamYard permissions to be able to see your name. That way we can respond to you directly rather than anonymous. If you got a question as we're going along, feel free to drop the comments. We'll pause occasionally to answer some questions. But other than that, let's do this.
Let's see. I have a 2 from Suzanne. Mandy from Colorado says she's new to Sheets. We got a 3, another 3, a 3 and a 4, a 5. Looks like a 5 from another friend in Illinois. Got a 4 coming in.
All right. Well, I just want to let you guys and ladies and all of you people out there know that, yes, Google Sheets initially to me was very intimidating. I would actually probably say I was like a -3.
Is that possible?
I don't want to do a Sheets. I'll spend the extra time organizing a table in a doc just so I don't have to deal with a sheet. But I have found that it's really not as scary as it could be. And just there's a few things to kind of go through, and we'll be going through it nice and slow for all of you out there, that it actually, to be honest, I feel like is the most powerful of all of the Google G Suite apps out there. And once you kind of gain a little bit of confidence and you realize that you can always undo an action, you can always go back into the revision history and fix things that go wrong. It really becomes something that's a lot less stressful to play with and to use. So I see those 3s, 4s, and 2s, and I hear you. I understand you because I was that way too. All right. So I wouldn't say I'm a 10 at this point, but I do love Sheets. Oh, Mandy, thank you for mentioning formulas. We're going to go into a few very simple ones today. All right. So before we go anywhere, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link into the chat, and I'm trying to think. Do I have the chat?
I can make sure I get that on Facebook, because I will. Let's see. That's the first one you shared, or no, the template that you shared.
The template preview. So we're going to drop a template preview, which will give you a preview of what I'm going to be walking through, but then also give you the ability to make a copy for yourself so you can kind of follow along. Because one of the most valuable things I think in regards to Sheets is actually just using it. The more you use it, I think the more you'll become comfortable with it. So as I do things, feel free to try and follow along, but also realize that this is going to be recorded. So if you miss something goes a little bit too fast, just remember you can go back and look at it again. This is for you out there. So if you have questions, just go ahead and drop them. So it is in the in the comment stream right now. So feel free to just grab that right now, and we're going to switch on over. All right.
I should have posted that in the, I've pinned it in the Facebook comments, so it should be the top comment showing up there. And I also put it in the YouTube live chat. So if you cannot see it, give me a shout out. Kim, I will reply to you specifically. There we go. So when you open up that link, all you have to do is click the blue Use Template button, and that will give you a copy of the sheet that we're going to be working in tonight.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and bring up the slideshow and kind of go over what we're going to be talking about. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today is simply Google Sheets, but here are some of the things that we're going to be dealing with. Adding, hiding, renaming some sheets within the Google Sheet using some simple formulas. I will go over sum and average, but they're probably one of the most powerful ones that I have fallen in love with is VLOOKUP. But we'll be using basically sum and average, and then kind of showing you where the rest of them are if you need. Talking about applying filters, some sorting ranges, and inserting charts and moving them around, and then publishing to web. All right. So a lot of you probably out there have seen different checklists for how to prepare for the level 1 and level 2 exams. So what I've tried to do is get the essential ones that will cover all of the level 1 and level 2 kind of topics. And these are probably the ideas or the areas where most people have questions about and how to do. So we're going to kind of go over that. Sharing is also important, but sharing kind of works very similar with all of the G Suite things. So if you know how to share a doc, sharing a sheet is relatively simple as well. Okay, so let's get into this. All right. So here we have a spreadsheet that we're going to be working off of. And you can probably, if you've opened up the template, you can kind of see right here. I've struggled really hard to come up with some names, and so I decided to gack the names of the admin team in your GEG virtual. So my apologies to those of you who were trying to protect your personal data.
I better be getting a good grade. That's all I got to say.
Well, we're going to be calculating what your average is.
Okay.
And I do have to say, I used a random formula. So I took a random number between 50% value and the max. So blame probability, I guess, if we don't come up with good averages.
The atmospheric noise of the universe.
There you go. There you go. All right. So what we have here is we have a sheet. Now, what you can do if you're trying to create a new one, you can simply click on the little plus icon, type in sheets .new. You can see the little icon pop up there, and you simply click on that, and up comes a new one. There's also, if you end up, if you are extremely interested, you can click on the sheets home, and you can notice that there's all kinds of templates, to-do lists, attendance trackers, calendars, grade books. There's all kinds of things that are present there. So feel free to do any and all of that. Now, so the first thing we're covering, if I'm switching back here, is adding, hiding, and renaming sheets. All right, so if you need to add a sheet, what you can either do is anytime you want to add something into the document that is not already there, or to increase functionality, you want to go to the Insert menu. So you can go to Insert, and all the way down here, you can do New Sheet. And you'll see down here, sheet number 3 has been added. Or the other thing you can do is down here, there's a little plus button. You can see where it says Add Sheet. You simply click there, and you'll see that there's another new sheet that has been added in this particular way. All right. So what we see here is there's a couple of different ways. I don't imagine I have this sheet and it's filled with data I don't want other people to see because my formulas are pulling up the data over here. Or I have basically things that I want to keep, I want to use to pull up from other things, but I don't want visible. What I can do is I can either go to this particular drop-down menu right here, and I can hide this sheet. Now, The advantage to hiding a sheet is what it ends up doing is that it removes the sheet from view, but it still lets the formulas and interaction and all the powers of the magical Google Sheets do all of its things. So if you're trying to pull, say, a range of data that, like, say, an A plus is like 98 to 100, or an A is 92 to 97, and you want some sort of formula to return a letter grade based on a number, you can hide that sheet down here, and the formula will still pull it up. So it's a way to hide things from view, allows you to come back later. So rather than 60,000 sheets down here, it just kind of gets it out of view, makes it a little bit cleaner to work with. To rename it, what you can end up doing is, once again, a little drop-down menu. You can simply click rename, and you can rename this something, whatever you want. The other way you can do that is you can simply double click on it, and if I can spell, sorry, you can rename it and do things like that. All right. So a couple of different easy peasy ways to be able to rename sheets, hide them, etc. All right. Very useful in order to renaming is one of the most useful things that you can do within a sheet, so that you don't end up with like sheet 1, 2, 3, and then try to figure out where is the particular piece of data. I use Google Sheets for my gradebook. So what are some of the ways that you out there feel like using a sheet might be useful to you? All right, we got any comments there? Live comments.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that you use Sheets for? Oh, science lab data.
Oh, that's a good one.
Jim mentioned science lab data.
Yes. Converting to graphs. Awesome, awesome. All right, so keep dropping those ideas, because one of the combination of forms. Oh, forms and quizzes. Yes, yes. Plus one that star it, hold it. Standards data.
Working with data and math with 6th graders. Woo. Sorry, I'm covering up your face every time, Marianne, when I put a comment up on the screen.
All right. Okay. Once you get into the getting comfortable with Sheets, you'll notice there's a lot of really powerful add-ons. And if there's some time later on in this, we'll probably try and drop you a couple of different add-ons that are basically give you superpowers that decrease your workflow or increase your workflow. All right, so let's keep on going. All right, so we talked about the hiding, renaming. Now we're going to talk about adding filters. All right, so the idea of adding filters is basically organizing your data in a slightly different way. So I'm actually going to jump in here, and I'm going to insert a formula. So the easy way to insert formulas is you can either go up to insert, and then there's a function list here, and then you kind of sort through all of that, and kind of gives you some very common ones up here. Or you see over here, there's a little drop-down menu, a little sigma sign over here. Once again, that same sort of formula here, or menu options. What I tend to use a lot of the same formulas, so I kind of memorize them. But one of the really powerful things is if you type the first thing in is an equal sign, it automatically recognizes that I'm going to be using a formula. So I'm going to type in sum, and you notice that it pulls in different possible options and auto finishes it for you. So I'm actually going to use the sum formula. And if I hit enter, then it pulls up parentheses and kind of gives you an explanation of what that particular formula is supposed to do. So once you open up the parentheses, then you can see here it says use the arrow keys to select the range. So I'm going to I'm going to hold the shift button down, and I can select more than one cell. If I do not hold the shift button down, I can only hold one cell at a time. So I'm going to hold the shift button down, and then I'm going to select this entire row here, all of this data. I want to close the parentheses because I'm done collecting that data. I'm actually going to calculate the average. And so Victor's average. So I'm going to then divide by the total amount, which is this row up here. So I need to write sum once again. And you can see that once again, it acts as though I've entered it because I've got a parentheses here. Now, here's the thing. I need to go up a row for my total maximum points. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select this row here. And I'm going to close off my parentheses. And one of the tricks is with Google Sheets is I always want this particular formula to reference this row right here. So you can tell Google Sheets always reference it by putting a $ in front of the numbers. So if you kind of zoom in there, you can kind of see I put $, then the first letter. So the letter indicates the column that you're dealing with, and the number indicates the row. So this is column C, row 2 is the first cell, and column N, row 2 is the second cell. So this entire row here is being frozen by using these $. So then I hit enter, and we find out that Victor's average is an 82%. Way to go, Victor, you passed this semester. Now, ways to carry this down. I can either copy and paste each time, or I can drag this down and it continues on as average. Or what I can do is this little blue box right here, I can double click and it carries it all the way down. And Rachel, I'm sorry to say, here,
shoot.
I'm so sorry. Let me see. You know what? You redid this assignment, so I'm going to give you some max points there, and great job on reworking that. Okay. So.
All right. Thank you.
Let's see. I better not make my.
Bye.
The classic grade inflation.
Grade inflation, yes. I can't make the GEG leader fail this assignment. Okay. I feel bad about that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So what we see here is you notice that whenever I change this data, the number automatically changes as well. So the formula is live. You don't have to redo the formula every time the data changes. So it's one of those really powerful things. A freebie in there is, see this little dark gray bar here and this bar right here? If I drag this over, I'm like, well, hey, how did Anthony Egbers do on assignment project number 12? So I can either scroll way over this way, but then I lose where Anthony is on which row. What I can do is I can put my cursor right here and select this column here, and I can do view, freeze, and up to 2 columns. And what I can see is I can then drag all the way over here, and you'll notice that I can always see their name and what their average is and wherever the new assignments are. So there's some other really powerful tools. That's a freebie in there. That wasn't in my learning objectives, but I just thought I'd throw that in there for free. All right, so let's talk about filters. Now that I have some averages, I am going to select all of the data that includes all of the grades, and I can go up to data, and I can create a filter. And what this does is allows me, well, what are the average scores from high? What are the scores from high to low on project number 12? And it allows me to sort everything from low scores to high. I'm gonna do high to low. Sorry, ZA. Based on that, so you can see these names over here have rearranged themselves. So who is my number 1 student in my class? Let's see. It is Rachel Duckworth. Nice going. All right. So we can see that it sorts automatically. I can sort it by number. I can sort it by letter, and some other really cool things. If you have colors, you can actually sort it by color, some sort of condition, filtered values, all of that. So there's different things that you can do to sort it. So those are filters. they allow you to kind of arrange data based on some sort of criteria or value. The most common one would be sort of alphabetical if you're using a grade book, or if you're looking at scientific data, arranging them by basically by time if you're trying to do like a force, an acceleration graph or something like that. All right. Questions. Feel free to drop a question in the chat box if you got a question. We'll try and hit those as we can go along. Facebook user, love freezing columns and rows. Yes.
That is from Crystal.
Crystal, I totally agree with you. I use a grade book, and with over like 100 students, I don't end nearly 30 or 40 different rows of data per quarter. It becomes really easy to be able to lose track of that first column of names as you're scrolling to the right forever. So yes. Okay, Kim says, how do you filter multiple criteria, name and project? All right, so what you would end up doing is here you have, I've set up the filters. So say I'm going to mess up the data here. So I've arranged the data based on this particular one here, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want the data based on that. I want the data based on, say, project 7. So what I can do is I can go over here. I can set up my filter based on, let's see, let's do sorted by, sort by 7. Sort by high to low on number 7. So I have project 7, arrange it there. But then if I want to arrange it slightly different, there's also what's called sort range. So you can sort by also using the filters, and you can sort by multiple things. Here you have sort range A4 to N17, which is this column here to this column here where the data is. So I can sort it by name, which is column A, and alphabetical A to Z. And then you can add another column, which is project 7 is column I. So I can do that. And then I'm going to do from high to low there. And so we can see you can arrange it by 2 pieces of information. And just using the sort range allows you to sort it by any number of things that you wish to sort it by. So if you have a lot of data and you're trying to crunch a lot of data, using the sort range is a beautiful function to do. Great question. Thank you for asking. All right. Let's see. What does the new feature slicer do?
From Teresa.
Teresa, I actually have not used the slicer feature yet. I'll probably, though, once I find out what it is, I would love to do it. Rachel or Mary, have you all used that feature before?
I know it exists. Does that count for something?
All right, so I'm going to do something that I would not recommend doing ever on live streams, is I'm going to play around with and see what it does in live. All right, so here we go.
Ooh, fun.
So data menu.
All right, so data menu. We got slicer. It says new. Yeah. Let's go with it. Slice column, select column first. All right, so I'm going to select this column here. And what we got here? Column slice. Column 1. Apply to pivot tables. This is cool. Mm-hmm. I'm liking this. What we got here? Apply to pivot tables. And let's see. What we got going on? Project 1. Let's see. Can we add? I don't see it.
Looking at the support page for this filtering charts and tables with slicers, I'll drop that link in here.
Yeah, let's do that.
It looks like what you can do is send. So like if you have the example in there says total revenue, total units sold, and then by region. So you can filter by region, and it would show you how the graph changes for region. So in your data example, what I might say is if project 10, 11, and 12 were all exams, and then 1 through 9 were maybe like daily work assignments, you could show like, what is your grade average just for exams? What is your grade average just for daily work? That kind of thing.
Okay.
That's how I'm understanding it right now.
All right. So if I end up doing something like this, like so we can see here, project 6 is a 50-point thing, and so is project 9 and 12. So I imagine if those were tests that we're doing, and then your I guess your lab grades might be 5, 8, and whatever. So if you were to sort of group all of this, and then data slicer allows you to.
That's how I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, it would allow you to basically, well, what does the graph data look like for these individuals on their tests versus their lab grades, or their assignments, their daily assignments, or something like that. That actually sounds really cool. I'm gonna go play around with that later. Thanks for that question. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer that one. Let's see. All right. Hey, keep asking those questions. Help us grow as we help you guys grow out there. So let's do this. So one of the most common things that you end up doing with a Google Sheet is actually inserting a graph or a chart. And so we're going to kind of go over that. I'll be dropping this presentation with some animations and what we went over into the chat at the end. And then feel free to make a copy of it later. All right. But one of the ideas is, so if I'm looking at this information here and I want to graph the grades that these individuals have, you go up to insert chart, and what you'll notice is the computers are amazingly smart, and you can see that it automatically creates a graph, but it names it some really funky things. But you can see that it has the well, actually I don't need A3. I actually want I'm going to delete this chart because I don't like it. I just want these right here. So I'm going to go back and insert chart. All right. So you can see it automatically it interprets the information. So I have 2 columns. So it knows that one of the columns is going to go on this axis and the other one is here. And so it's smart enough to figure out that it can easier to graph these particular pieces of data, the numbers, than it is the names. And then it kind of gives you some features. One of the things that you see happening here is it covers over the data. So you can will have to move the graph to various places, or what you can end up doing is you can move it to its own sheet. And what that does is it puts the graph of the data. You can see that the graph or the chart is no longer on this. If you change the data here, the graph will still change, or the chart's data will still change. So there's no worries on sort of, do I have to make a new chart since I've updated a score? No, you don't have to. This will automatically update. And if you actually want to rename it, you can go up to Setup, Customize, and then you can change your axis titles, your chart title, your horizontal axis title, your vertical axis title. You can change the style of it. Or, you know what, I don't want a column chart. I want a bar chart. And we'll see, I want a line chart for some reason. You can change it to that. You can change it to something that looks like this. Particularly if you're playing a game and you're trying to figure out, well, who has the highest score, race to the finish. You could insert it something like this, and you kind of see who's in the lead. I use this a lot whenever I play team games for a little bit of gamification in the class. I got the team names over here, and you kind of see them racing to the end. So there's all different kinds of things you can do. Percent, if you're sort of dealing with voting and you got some tabulation of votes for class officers or something like that, then this particular kind of setup would end up working pie charts. But there's all different things that you can kind of play around with it. What Google will do is you'll notice that it suggests this one based on the data that's present. So it gives you the most likely option to use, but there are different things that you could end up choosing from. If you're dealing with a science lab, I remember somebody mentioned in a science lab, a scatter plot. If you had a lot of data, it would fill in a lot of different points over here. So just all kinds of things. You can actually change the color of the bars on it if you want to do like a different color. You can actually change the individual chart. Let me change this chart style back to bar, so you can see here. There's the border. You can change the border color. There's all different things that you can do to this particular chart. So just an easier way to visualize it. So last thing that I did want to go over, or let's actually pause. Are there any questions that have come up as a result?
We had several people asking how you did that, where you took the chart and put it on a separate sheet.
Okay, so let me go over that once again. So I'm going to go back to my first tab over here. So if I select this data, and then I go to Insert Chart, I can create a new chart. And then up here, there's a little kebab or a stoplight or 3 dots. You click on that. And then over here, you can see Moved to Own Sheet. Then you click there, and you can see that it is now on here. So generally, you would want to rename this sheet to something that's a little bit more understandable. But great question. Other questions that were out there?
This one is from Teresa again. How do you transfer info from one sheet to a second sheet? Are you going to talk about that with your formulas at all, or no?
Are they talking about, say, like Google form responses on a spreadsheet and putting them into a gradebook? Is that what they're... So one of the things you can do, there is a formula that allows you to, let's see, I'm going to insert a column real quick. If you did equals import range, it allows you to be able to, you can see here, if there's another spreadsheet with data, it allows you to be able to pull data from that spreadsheet and a particular range of data, which could be a column, a series of rows, or whatever, and be able to pull it into there. So it is possible to move data from one spreadsheet to the other. But if you're, and if the first spreadsheet where the data is coming from changes, then it would also change the data that is present in this particular spreadsheet here. However, if you're simply just looking to say move data from one to the other, you can simply copy and paste as well if the data is not likely to change ever. I hope that answers the questions you were asking about.
We have a couple references to pivot tables. I will encourage people to go back into the media from our group. Tammy did a great tutorial on pivot tables a while ago. You can use the group search feature for pivot tables, and then she's got a video there that talks about all the data in pivot tables. So the short answer to this question is yes. Yes, there is a difference. Mm-hmm. Because a pivot table basically uses your data. How to explain this? If someone else has it in their brain better than I do.
Okay, so a chart or a graph will compare two values. So it'll compare, say, it'll reference one value, sort of like name, and return a second value, and that's static. It will only do those two, compare or allow you to range and visualize those two things. A pivot table will allow you to add or remove multiple pieces of data. So instead of comparing just two things, you can compare 3 or 4 or subsets of a number, and it allows you to easily change and manipulate as you're going. Tammy did an amazing job on it, and so I would highly recommend looking at it.
So is a pivot table just is a level 1 thing, or is that just level 2? Just level 2.
Just level 2. Just level 2. So don't worry about pivot tables. They really are not as intimidating as they might sound. There's a whole menu or a walkthrough on how to do that. Plenty of videos out there. Tammy is an amazing resource on that, as well as all the other GEG leaders and captains here. So feel free to reach out to any or all of us. And since now you see our names, you know who to find.
Yep, that's who to look for.
All right. So the last thing that I want to cover is basically publishing to the web. All right. And the way to do that is if you have this set of data, which should not be grades, by the way, don't publish data of grades to the web. But say you have results that of parent surveys or something that you need to share, learning objectives, standards covered, whatever, with a group of parents, checklists that are learning that you want to share with a bunch of people, but you don't want to type in 16,000 different emails into this particular share settings here. What you can do is you can go up to File and then scroll down here to Publish to Web. And what this allows you to do is anybody with this web link will be able to view it. So it's basically like making a website for just this set of data from this sheet. And so you can either publish the entire thing, select what you want to publish, determine how you want to publish it, whether it's a PDF or a web page. I'm going to do web page, and I'm only going to select, for instance, sheet 1, and then I'm going to hit publish. And it creates this URL. So I'm going to then drop this into a new tab. And you'll notice it looks a little bit different. Here, I have all the menu options and able to manipulate the data. Over here, you'll notice there's no menu options. And so what it does, it gives you a static view of the data. Now, this will update about every 5 to 10 minutes. So if a change is made here, it will take a little bit of time for it to propagate over here. But it allows you to be able to share this data with anybody. So you can simply copy that URL and say I needed to email my principal the scores on my latest exam, or I needed to email rather than adding the person as an individual on the spreadsheet over here, I can simply publish it to the web and then email the link to my principal. So basically, publishing the web allows static versions of the spreadsheet to be able to share. And you can actually control which tabs within it are viewable. All right, questions?
I am getting the link for the pivot tables video, and I will put that in the comments.
All right. Mary, you had mentioned that you love spreadsheets. Is there anything that you would like to add on it?
I love them for data. I use them to keep track of what specifics that students know. When I used to teach kindergarten, I had one that I had sight words, letters, sounds, all these different things, and I had different tabs, and I was able to just enter it all in one sheet and then have it produce a sheet for each kid that I could easily just print out anytime a parent asked. I could include it with report cards. So I absolutely love it. I love the formulas. I love being able to pull data from one sheet to another, from one book to another.
And if you are sharing, say, like a collection of I totally agree with what you're saying of like making it a collection of different things. And if you were creating some sort of curriculum document or curriculum mapping thing where you had standards listed and references, or vowel sounds or whatever it is, you can post. So this is the web published to the web version of it. But say I was not going to, and I wanted to. This is a document for teaching that on whatever it is. You can insert the formula. You can simply paste the URL in there into a cell, and you'll notice that automatically it pulls up the URL for it, and you can click on it, and it opens. So the power of the spreadsheets allow you to be able to make it a compilation document of a lot of different things within your curriculum.
It'll say too, one of the nice things that they've added recently is you can put more than one URL in a cell, if that makes sense. So like you could have the link to your presentation and you could hit, Alt Enter to go to a new line, and then have another link in there to something else.
All right, so what she's talking about here, you do this, and you can kind of see that the URL is in there. Then I can hit Alt, Enter, create a new line, and put it in there again. Alt, Enter, and I can keep putting it in there. And you'll notice that here are 3 different URLs that are present within the spreadsheet.
I also like that they added the checkboxes.
Yes.
Big thing that was hard for me going from Excel over to Sheets was that they didn't have that capability, but now they do. So that's awesome.
Yep. And as always, there's feedback that you could give to Google. I'm trying to look on your screen here to see where the little question mark is, but I don't see it. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, there you go. You could report.
Okay, so if you click on the help, you can do report a problem, and that allows you to be able to,
like, send
hey Google, you know, it would be great if you include screenshot,
yes.
And then send it to them. They listen, as we've seen from what they did with Google Meets, where it went from, oh, okay, you can talk to people, to this amazing tool for distance learning. They respond to the feedback. So if you have an idea, odds are somebody else has that same thing. Go ahead and send it in and crowdsource how to make this tool even better, because Google listens.
Yeah. Can you do checkboxes real quick?
Sure. All right. So say I'm gonna insert over here, and I'm just gonna resize. I'm sorry, resize this. All right, and I want to say, okay, so I'm going to sort by average here. And you can do inserts, and you see right here checkbox.
Ooh.
And you notice I'm going to drag it down here. And so which ones have given me their final assignment? Let's see, Rachel has, Anthony, Christina, let's see, Pearson, Mary, Yvonne, and then, so these people have turned in, and allows you to be able to put checkboxes in there. Now, what the checkbox actually does, it behaves like a, if you're into mathematics, a Boolean, sort of a true and false. So it allows you to be able to kind of like, if something is true kind of formula, to be able to look to see if the checkbox is there. But, or if you're just simply looking at, did this person turn in this assignment that is due by the end of the week, you can put a checkbox or leave it empty.
If you're not using Google Classroom to track that.
If you're not using Google Classroom, if you're using some other way. How I recently used it is I had a multi-step project. So when I was doing the distance learning, or online learning or emergency learning, however you want to phrase it, this how we ended this last year. I had a multi-step project where they had to check in with me at certain points, but it was only one due date on Google Classroom. So I created a spreadsheet and used checkboxes and had columns with the checkboxes in each one of the checkpoints. And so as a student finished that, I'd check that box so I could keep track of where was the last time that I actually heard from this student. And just a way to provide feedback for myself. Can you color code checkboxes? Is what Christelle says. Let's see. If I change the color, yes. So if what you mean by is simply if I can change the color of the checkboxes, it behaves like text. So it allows you to be able to change what color your checkboxes are.
Does that color stay whether it's checked or unchecked? Can you just uncheck one and see if it's still red? Yep. Cool.
You could change the background by using the fill color. So if you want to burn out retinas, you can do things like this. Fluorescent green, and then, you know, put in a hot pink, you know, or a fluorescent green there. So you can change all kinds of things in there. So that was a great question.
You could even do like conditionals, conditional formatting. Like if it's checked, turn the cell green. If it's not checked, turn the cell red.
All right, my favorite conditional. Let's see if I can remember to do this. I see conditional data. So you have format. Conditional formatting. I'm going to do, let's see.
This is some wizardry here. I don't know what's happening.
I lost the formula. I lost it. My mind blanked. I'm sorry. But there's a way, if this box is checked, to be able to highlight the entire row. Let me look this up real quick.
Semester grades complete. Bam. And highlight.
Let's see.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that you can format cells and rows. Like in a grade book like this, I think back to the student information system, or we used Infinite Campus, and you could turn on a feature where if it was a failing grade, it would turn the box red, and if it was a passing grade, it would turn the box green. You could do that here too. Like you could conditionally format it to turn green if it was above a certain score, or turn red if it's underneath a certain score.
I like to do that for reading groups too, when you put in their reading level, so that all the A's turn one color, B's turn another color, and then you can just glance at it real quick and see your reading groups.
Okay, so what we have here, the formula actually is star A4 equals true. You can customize the color, so I'm going to do green, because green means you passed. Yay! All right, and so what you can see here is that's an ugly color. that's hard to see. Let's do something that's not so. There you go. Okay, so you can actually change, like, so did the person turn in the assignment? It highlights the row. What they were talking about here is add another sort of custom rule. So you can set it up. You highlight the cells that you want, and then you go into the conditional formatting, which is where I'm here. And what you can do is scroll down where it says is less than or equal to, and then you can put in a value. So I'm going to do 0.6, which is sort of like the lowest grade, or let's do 0.7, because that would be like the lowest level of C. And I want to fill it with this color, make it this, and I want to bold it. And what you can end up seeing, let's make it a little bit more visual. So let's change it to this color and white. All right. So what we can see here is automatically we can see that Lynn here has a 69. So it visualizes a little bit more. But if I change the data here, you'll notice that the conditional formatting only it changes based on
if you uncheck it,
based on whatever the data is.
Yep. So it has to be a person that's unchecked right now. Yeah. Because if they are, so if you would, because it follows the rules in order.
Yes. So like the rules here we see, hang on, C4, C17. So we can see that in order, here it is. So I want this actually in higher order. So I'm going to drag this up there. So you can see that here the data it's more important that I find out who's not doing well in the class than it is who's turned in that assignment. And so this order over here makes it a little bit a priority of what color overlays which color. So you want the most important visual thing to be at the top, and then underneath that, the other stuff. But that's a freebie.
Lots of freebies and question answering here.
Lots of freebies. All right, other questions you guys, anybody has? Somebody said, alternately, can you highlight only the unchecked rows? Yes. So the formula I used for this is true. What you would simply do is false. And what it does, you can see that it automatically updates, and it, when I check a row, it unhighlights or dehighlights or whatever that would end up being. So yes, great question.
So if you have any last minute questions, now's the time to get them in. Otherwise, if you have found that this is helpful to you, hit that thumbs up button if you're on YouTube, or give us a like on Facebook. I'm like
subscribe, follow.
Like, subscribe, and what is it? Ring the bell or something to get notified. Whatever. We don't live and die on subscriptions or people following, but it is good for us to know if this has been helpful for you, or if there are other things that you'd like us to do live videos on in the future. Other things that you have suggestions for us as a group. We would love to hear those at any time. We do have a moderator messenger group that we have. Kim, that is a great question. Will there be other trainings? Let me grab the events page here in the group, and I'll tell you what's coming up. So as of this moment, we have on Saturday at 4 p.m. Central or 5 p.m. Eastern, depending on where you're at, or 4 a.m. if you're in Thailand. Yes. You replied going to that, Joseph. You going to wake up that early? I don't know.
We'll see. I might set an alarm. That sounds like an interesting topic.
We have using Google Forms in a flipped classroom. One of our members that's a Google trainer is going to do that. I believe Victoria is her name, if I remember right. Sorry if I got it wrong. And then there's a little gap. At the beginning of August, Tuesday, August 4th, we have going further with Google Docs. So if there is something that you'd like us to do a live session on, we are more than happy to do that for you. It is not a problem. Somebody in the moderator group or another trainer that's involved with the group, I'm sure would be willing and able to put another training session on their checkbox for the year. Yep. Yes. And then Tuesday, August 11th, Google is having an event called the Anywhere School 2020. We are not hosting that event, but it is a official Google event. So if you want to register for that in the group, you can click on events. There will be a link to the Google registration page for that. If there's anybody that wants to present live to our group, you can go to our group website, which is gegvirtual.com/live-pd. I wonder if I can put that up on a banner. Give me a second. There we go. Save. Show. There we go. Oh,
there you go.
Now it's scrolling. Oh boy.
Nice.
How awesome is that? The Google event date again is August 11th. And it is 1 p.m. Central as far as I am noticing on the event page at this moment in time. So if you have ideas or suggestions, or if you want to host a session, gegvirtual.com/livepd, or you can go to the members area in the group and message any one of our admins or moderators, and we would be more than happy to bring that up to our admin team and get something set up for you. Anything else that I'm forgetting, either of you?
There was somebody that mentioned the rubrics talk in classroom that we were not able to get to. We will try and put something together for that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes, we'll get that on the calendar.
Yes. But feel free to drop if you're watching at home and it's not live, it's in the watch party or some later point, and you have a question, drop a comment in the feed, and the moderators will, or somebody else will crowdsource an answer for you. So these events are for you. So please make use of them and drop questions. If you have a question, you feel like we went over something too fast, or, hey, what about kind of things, feel free to drop them in there, and we can try and get back to you as quick as we can.
Kim, I see your comment. Has there been a session on Google extensions? Not yet. We'll put that on the list as well. So thank you for asking for that. Oop.
Great idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here. Oh, I see that we have 5 hearts and thumbs on Facebook.
Oh, yay.
Nice.
I'm feeling the love.
Right. Okay, well, I guess that's it for us. I guess we'll sign off unless you have any last minute comments, either of you.
Go forth and be googly.
That's going to be our new catchphrase now. Go forth and be googly.
Hashtag copyright.
Yeah, right? Yep. Have a great night or day or whatever it is, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
All right.